Hey, folks, here we are. It is Wednesday, the 12th of January, 2022. And we are dead in the middle of the roaring 20s of the new century. It's amazing what is going on and the correlation between what is going on today in politics, in business, in our everyday lives, compared to 100 years ago when it was the roaring 20s of the last century. It's amazing. I'm Tom Young, and we're here for anchorfm.com podcast called Money Shifts and Facebook Live at the Family Money Farm Group. Yeah, the Family Money Farm Group. We are here about truth and information and education to help you become all you can be. You know, it's about polishing your eyeglasses, taking the scratches off, grinding them off, and making it so you can actually see. And when you begin to see, you develop the belief in the great future that is all of ours in front of us, if we but see it. Then believe it. Life gets exciting when you have an understanding about how great your future can be and the possibilities that exist. It's God's plan, really. It's what God plans for us. It's what he expects of us. Paraphrasing, I would not do you harm. It is only about your prosperity and well-being in all of our futures. We start every presentation every day with prayers for everybody around the world that is affected by this Chinese virus that has been launched and sent around the world for whatever dark secret or dark reason that these folks have for this thing. I don't know, but we need to pray for everybody. We need to pray that God gives us courage and determination and strength to carry on. We pray for those who have lost loved ones, and especially the loved ones who have been lost that may have even died totally alone when nobody was allowed to visit, that the Lord would open his arms and gather them into his kingdom of heaven above. In Jesus' name we pray. With that being said, you know, we're really today we're gonna bring out the calculators and a video about our 401k and what is the real problem that we have saving all of our money in the 401k. First of all, when you retire someday in the future, if that in fact is what your plan is, do you think you're going to be in a lower tax bracket when you retire? You're most likely going to be in the same tax bracket or maybe even a higher bracket if you're planning on any real kinds of success in your life. Because the person that is talking to you and talking about selling you an IRA, no, an IRA is a tax law. They want to sell you an annuity. They want to sell you an investment. They want to get control of your money. So they make statements. Oh, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket when you retire. I have helped hundreds and hundreds of people retire and live comfortably throughout their retirement years by understanding how they can maximize the value of their money. One ingredient that I have found not very often was somebody that actually is in a lower tax bracket. They are at least in the same tax bracket they have been in, or a higher tax bracket. In their younger years, when they decided to put money into this 401k, while they were raising a family, they were most likely in a lower tax bracket. So that really makes a lot of sense to me. Why would I postpone paying income tax and giving up access and control of my money so that some future date I could get it back and pay a higher tax on it? Because the tax bill is still going to be due. And in addition to that, I've had no access to the money, so I have allowed inflation to eat up the purchasing power In 25 years, a dollar is only worth 47 cents. In 35 years, it's 32 cents. So the dollars in the future, not only do you have to pay tax on it at possibly a higher rate than it is now, because they're not going to magically make the $30 trillion of debt go away, or the $161 trillion of unfunded liability go away. So they're going to need your money. And they already have plans. In an emergency, they can declare an emergency and take all of your 401k money and create Social Security Part 2. That has actually been talked about and thought about. Do an internet search, government take over my 401k, and you will find very quickly 1 million hits. You got to do some work and do some digging, but do your own research so that you understand. You need to create an absolutely diversified portfolio with non-correlating assets. Non-correlating assets means if the market jumps around, this other asset isn't affected by it, and vice versa. So with that, I want to jump in here and I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to do this 401k thing. Will I get it back up here? Where did it go? Where did my screen go? The whole truth about 401ks. So let me share my screen. So we're going to do is share the screen. Share. Okay, so there we are. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click on this.
Hello, this is Kim Butler.
Oh, that's the wrong one. Look at that. Pick the right one, Tom.
Okay, so the eighth one.
Enjoy the video.
Qualified plan. All right, so let's look at this. We'll look at this a couple of different ways, but let's start with a 35-year-old. Let's go out to age 65. And let's put $100,000 of current money in the plan. And let's do an 8% earnings rate. Okay, we're gonna do 8% gross in the marketplace. Let's just see what that does. We know that's way high, but I'm hoping, I'm hoping the best for you. I'm thinking that you're gonna beat everybody else. Okay, so let's do 8%. We'll fix it. And then let's add a payment of say $17,000 a year. All right, what we see is $3.3 million. With $3.3 million, what is the point of doing anything? I am done, right? And that is the way a lot of times the qualified plans are talked about. With that kind of money, that's more money than I can imagine. All right. This is great that you're saving money, that you've accumulated money. Are there any other reasons why you might want to put money in this great 8% investment? The match? Yeah, you get some free money from your employer. What else? Tax deductible, or yeah, a lot of times it's talked about as more, you don't have to pay tax on those dollars, right? Exactly. So let's look at those things. So employer match, you're right. I looked at your documents. You are getting a 50% employer match, but it's not 50% on everything. It's 50% on the first 2% of your income. So you're making currently $150,000 a year. So we'll put a 50% match up there, but it's actually being cut off at $3,000. Does that make sense? Now, look what happened. Our rate of return went from 8 to 8.25. Why did it go to 8.25? The reason is that's free money. It's adding to the amount of money that we have. It increased this, but it didn't increase our costs because we got that portion for free. So we're earning more than what the stated earnings rate is. Now, most people are going to be disappointed when they see that it only went up to 8.25, because what they've been told is if you're getting 50% match, then you're earning at least 50%. So that should have made this at least 12. We should have gotten half again, whatever our earnings rate is. And it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. The match is only on the contribution. It's not on the whole pile of money. So while the match is being matched, every year that we go down the road, the less impact that match actually has on the overall rate of return. Does that make sense? Okay, and then let's look at the taxes. So that's right. So let's look at the tax advantage first. Sorry. So go ahead and put additional income. We'll do the same, $150,000, but we've got $30,000 worth of mortgage and charitable deductions. So our net tax was $120,000, even though there's zero there.
Thank you.
And let's go ahead and turn on the tax deferral. And what we're going to see is, look at that. We just added $789,000 here of value of the tax deferral. And what that is, it's just keeping track of the federal government's money compounded at our 8% rate in this case. So our $1,500 or our match after our deduction compounded out. But what's interesting is, did you notice that the net account value didn't change? Turn that off, Kim. Turn off the tax deferral. The net account value didn't change, but the rate of return, if you click on the tax deferral, goes up. So the rate of return went up, but the amount of money we have did not. Why? The reason is this. When I put in $17,000, all that $17,000 is not mine. The only part of the $17,000 is mine is that less the taxes I would have had to pay otherwise. A lot of times the qualified plan is talked about as an instrument where we get to put money in there, it reduces our taxes, so we have more money to spend outside of that. That's unfortunately not what we get to do. What happens is we have to put our portion and then the federal government's portion, we can either pay to the IRS or we get to put it in our qualified plan. We don't have it in our pocket. So the tax savings ends up being part of the plan. It reduces our cost in the plan, but it doesn't increase the amount of money we're going to have in the plan. Therefore, the rate of return went up because we got the same amount of money, but our contribution was actually less. Does that make sense? Okay. So here we see we're at 9.5%. This is great. You're putting money away. Not a lot of people are doing that. You'll be commended for saving money. Unfortunately, there's some things about the qualified plan that weren't revealed to you up front, and we're going to look at those. Go ahead and reduce that so it's out of the way there. The first one is there are management fees around the qualified plan, the underlying assets as well as the plan itself. We know those to be pretty high. We've got some Bloomberg videos if you want to go out to the truthconcepts.com website and look at the blog. You can look up fee links, and it's got some links to some Bloomberg videos. But let's just use, we're going to use 2%. We know it's way more than that because not only do we have the mutual fund cost, but we've also got the additional cost of managing the fund or the plan. But let's just go ahead and put 2% on this. And what we see is that first 2% just took away all of the benefit we got from our employer and all the benefit we got from the federal government. And then some, right? Because now we're down to 7.4 from our 8%. It's interesting to see, look what happened. We actually paid out $562,198 in management fees. But look what it did to our account. Turn that off. Our account goes from 3.5 million down to 2.1 million. There's $1.4 million lost in our account for $562,000 paid out in fees. Yes. No, it depends. You're right. You're right. But what they see is, you know, I was supposed to have been making X amount, and it looks like my account went up by the amount of money I put in it. Aha. Okay. So It does. It just seems to increase by what's going on. And these are the pieces that cause that to happen. What about taxes? Well, the federal government, I know you were told by your accountant that you got all this advantage for putting money in there. You may have even heard, hey, you get to earn money on the federal government's money, all these things. The IRS wants their money at distribution time. And so what we're going to do, we're going to look at this first lump sum. So go ahead and turn the taxes on. And when the taxes are turned on, it drops our account to $1,353,000. We see our rate of return at 5.23. We see that we paid in taxes $840,277. Now this is kind of interesting. How much would we have paid had we just paid our tax? Let's get, if you'll just get the basic calculator. Okay, so we've got 17,000. There I've got an effective tax rate of, actually turn off the tax cost just a minute. I want to see what the deferral says there. Oh, it was part in, oh, sorry, it's 25%. That's what I needed. I wasn't looking at it right. Go ahead and turn the tax cost back on and minimize that. Okay, so we're in a 25% marginal bracket. So we've got 17,000 times 0.25. Is 4250. So each year the federal government gave up 4250, did they not? That they would have gotten otherwise. So 4250 times 31 years, 35 to 65 is actually 31. Plus, we certainly had some tax deferral in the 100,000, didn't we? It was already in there. So let's just say it was the same 25%. So we'll add another 25,000. We know that's probably a little bit higher than what they gave up, but that's all right. So $156,000 is what the federal government gave up to get $840,000. So my question is, who earned money on the federal government's money? What's that? That's how they're going to pay down the deficit? Uh-huh.
The federal government cannot legally invest in the stock market.
Right.
Would monopolize the stock market and move the stock market in directions that individual investors wouldn't want it to go.
Even though that's what they're doing. That's how they're manipulating interest rates right now, but forget all that, yeah.
And yet, they are in fact investing in the stock market with our money.
That's right.
And our risk.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And will be interesting to see what they're actually making on it. If you'll bring up, give me a rate calculator. All right, so they've got $25,000 in it up front. They got a payment of $42.50. So what I'm looking at right now is the federal government's investment strategy. They gave us $25,000 up front, 25% of our $100,000, plus they're giving us $42.50 a year for 31 years. No, is that right? $42.50? That's right, isn't it? Yeah.
I think
Okay.
so.
31 years, and in the future, they get $840,277. Their return is far better than ours. No, ours is 5.23. We have to pay taxes on our gain. They don't have to pay taxes on theirs. We did. That's gross. No, it depends on where the taxes are, other things. But anyway, yeah, I mean, that's huge. No,
We paid them for them.
All right. I mean, if you think about it, our management fees went up because of the free money, right? Okay, so it's not that it didn't help our account, but the feds have a vested reason for allowing the qualified plans, I'd say.
Well, folks, there's the story. And as you can see, it is not pretty. When we think of the advice that we're getting from advisors that have been trained comprehensively to gather assets for the financial world and obviously the government, you need to accept the responsibility for having to learn some of the things that I'm talking about here. So you need to invest yourself in the ability to make more money and do it in a way that increases your betterment long-term. That's what we're talking about. The quote for today, again, another quote by Franklin Roosevelt: the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. I've heard that so many times. We become fearful of things that are in our mind. They are not real. Fear, false evidence appearing real. Now, with that being said, we will see you Friday this week, and we will go over this again, and I'll touch on some things. I hope you enjoyed it. You can watch it over and over and over again. It'll be on Facebook and my live Facebook page. That's a Family Money Farm group. So God bless you. That's where you got to go to get some answers on what we're doing. So I don't know why it's not allowing me. This is actually really amazing, and I have not figured out yet on Zoom on what we're doing. Return to meeting. Let's see if it takes me back to the meeting. And it doesn't look like it's going to do that.